At the beginning of the movie, a father and daughter climb the Troll Hills in western Norway for fun. When they got to the top, Tobias told his young daughter Nora stories about trolls that people have told for years. It seems that these mythical animals roamed the earth a few thousand years ago. When they came into touch with sunlight, they turned into stone. Tobias is a well-known folklorist who thinks that trolls still live in the mountains of Norway. This idea fascinates his daughter. 20 years from now, Nora has grown up and no longer believes in magic. Instead, she has turned to science. She worked at a historical site for almost 6 months and is now a geologist. She is so happy when she finds a strange fossil after all her hard work. Nora and her team enjoy what they just found in the nearby Dover Mountains. The building of a metro station is moving along quickly. For the project, the workers are busy digging into the rock and setting up explosives. At the same time, a group of protesters are screaming that the government should stop building on the mountain. Even though they tried to stop him, the chief set off the explosives, which blew the mountain to pieces. He looks at the protesters straight in the eyes. When he presses the button too hard, he and the workers go inside the Dover cave to check. But they are shocked to hear a loud roar. Moments later, the ground starts to shake, and an old magical creature comes out of the mountain's rocky depths. Terrified, the workers run for their lives, but the falling mountain rocks end up killing them all in the end. As soon as the news of what happened gets to the Norwegian Armed Forces headquarters in Oslo, they start to take action. The general chooses to send an airplane to the spot so he can get a clear picture of what happened there. He then tells someone to get in touch with the Prime Minister. Next, we see the Norwegian Prime Minister and her advisor, Andreas, going to the military camp. Getting there, the Minister of Defense tells them what's going on and tells them that more than 50 people died in the event. He then shows us some shots of Ground Zero. When we look closely, we can see that there are huge holes in the ground. Andrea says that they resemble footprints, but he has no right to say what he thinks. Nora, meanwhile, is still having fun with her co-workers. She starts to give a speech about her important finding, but a military chopper comes in the middle of it. Then, a guard comes out and tells Nora that the Prime Minister in Oslo has asked her to come right away. She hops on the helicopter and flies to the military base. Andreas takes her to a room full of government people after she gets there. Nora joins them as they talk about what's going on. The officials think the damage was caused by some kind of gas, but Nora doesn't think that's the case. After looking at the image of the footprints closely, she thinks it could be a dinosaur that has risen from the mountains. Andreas says it might be magic, but he doesn't know enough to have an opinion. But the government officials just laughed at Nora and told her that this wasn't one of her fossil study cases. They also rule out the idea that this is all the work of an animal. Then, Sigrid, a computer expert who works for the Norwegian Armed Forces, walks in and tells the group that she has found a video of what happened. When she plays it, the people in charge see a 100 and the Dover cave shows a foot-tall figure coming out. This finally makes them believe that something huge, most likely a monster, has come to Norway in a lonely place called Leia. An old pair is having tea in the afternoon when they hear a far-off roar. When their table starts to shake and the dishes around it fall off, the couple thinks it's an earthquake and runs to hide under their safety vault. Once everything is in order, they leave the vault and find that their house has been smashed and torn apart. Nora says to the Prime Minister that she is ready to look into what happened in Dover. The other leaders agree, so she is put in charge of science. After the meeting, Andreas, who works for the PM, tells Nora about what happened to Leia, and the two of them quickly fly a chopper to the scene while they are in the air. They talk about little things. Andreas introduces himself correctly and then asks Nora why she decided to become a paleontologist. The second one says that she has always loved being outside. She was young. She also says that her father, Tobias, was an expert on tradition, but that he lost touch with reality when his views got too far out of hand. His health got so bad at one point that he had to be taken to the hospital. Andreas then tells Nora that he has always wanted to be a writer and that he is working on a story about a monk who rips off his own head and throws it at enemies to bite them. And I just thought this was really funny. When Nora and Andreas get to the spot, they are shocked by how much damage there is. Captain Christopher Holmes' Special Operations Command will soon be there to meet them. Christopher tells them what's going on and says that the creature's track went 2 miles south into the mountains. But no matter how much they looked, they couldn't find anything. It's almost as if the huge animal vanished into thin air. After that, the three people talk to the old couple, who are still upset about what happened. The husband's wife says that she didn't see anything. She did, however, hear an odd growling sound. It was scary, like the sound that King Kong made. It was also sad and gloomy. Unfortunately, the information isn't clear, so Nora has to check out the area on her own. She suddenly smells something strange, which brings her to one of the big tracks. Nora then looks for signs of life in the area, but strangely, there are none. It almost seems now that all the proof points in the same direction. Nora chooses to ask for help from her separated father, who lives alone on a mountain. A helicopter takes Nora, Christopher, and Andreas to his house. On their first meeting, Tobias seems angry, but he calms down and invites them into his house. Surprisingly, even after all these years, he is still studying trolls, which are fictional beings. After a while, the group shows him the video that they had gotten earlier to show him the secret. Tobias is shocked by what he sees, so he begins to mutter. They don't know what to do. Nora wants a scientific answer, not just a folktale, to help them figure out what's going on. Stop talking about trolls, Daddy, and tell me about this one. Tobias, on the other hand, sticks to his idea and says that the trolls died out because Norway became Christopher. He also says that he was about to tell the truth until someone called him crazy. Then he grabs his bag and says, let's go on an adventure. Next, we see Nora, her co-workers, and Tobias fly to a certain location in a helicopter. After a while, they get to the place they were going to, and Tobias is excited to look around. He sees that the landscape has changed in every way. At the same time, Nora smells the same strange smell. She calls it hypernature. I don't understand what she means, and she never tells me. So, that's it. She looks around and all of a sudden sees a big person wake up behind her. The huge troll has covered himself up to look like the rest of the forest. Andreas and the others also see this and start the helicopter right away. The group gets away just in the nick of time. That troll has a tail, dude. Once they get to a safe place, they go live on the internet and show the video to the government leaders in Oslo. Now, everyone will have to think that trolls are real. Shortly after, the Prime Minister sets up a military action led by Captain Christopher. Soon, hundreds of troops with the best guns in the country will gather around the giant and get ready to kill it. While they do this, Tobias and Nora will have a sweet moment as father and daughter, getting close again after a long time. Andreas tells Captain Christopher that he knows everything there is to know about army gear because he plays Call of Duty. Then the troll shows up, and the army goes crazy. But the troll doesn't seem to be moved at all, no matter how hard they try. He seems to be able to heal himself, and he can also smell blood on his victims. Tobias gets up and tries to calm the thing down after he kills one of the guards' arms that went out. He seems to have done well, initially. At the same time, another car pulls up and fires several shots at the troll as it turns and crushes the people inside. Tobias gets hit by the troll's tail by accident, sending him flying and crashing to the ground. He tries to talk to Nora, but nothing comes out. Sadly, he dies before he can say more about what he said that night. Nora, who is very sad, spends hours going through her father's log to try to figure out how to stop the troll or at least understand him better. She finds out that the trolls used to throw rocks at churches because they didn't like the sound of church bells. Later, she tells the officials about it and says that they need to think outside the box. The Minister of Defense doesn't want to go through with such a crazy, superstitious plan, but the General and Prime Minister don't have any other ideas. Night. In the next scene, 4 military planes, each with a big church bell attached, move toward the troll. At first, the plan seems to work, and the troll looks weaker, but after a while, he gets used to it and kills most of the helicopters. Nora's plan to attack the monster with church bells fails horribly, leading to even more deaths and damage. But the troll does once save a small child from a death that was about to happen. The beast seems to have feelings. Now, to make things even worse, news sites from all over the world have picked up the story and are spreading it. To try to cool the country down, the Prime Minister gives a speech on TV. First, she says sorry for her incompetent cabinets, and then she declares a state of emergency. She also tells the people of Oslo and other nearby places to leave right away, as the troll seems to be going straight to the capital for some reason. Nora, on the other hand, loses her seat at the table because she failed. On the other hand, Andreas finds out that the government is planning to bomb Oslo to kill the troll. He has some ideas about this, but he doesn't know enough about it to have an opinion, so he gives up his. Then, Nora and Andreas hurry out of the offices. People start to line up by the thousands to leave the city. They also include Andreas and Nora. The latter is still upset that she couldn't find a way to stop the trolls, so she chooses to look at her father's book one last time. She gets lucky and finds a clue. She sees that the word sending is written in the book more than once. Andreas tells her that Sending is a prince who lives in Oslo's royal house. How is Nora unaware of that? It looks like he is one of the richest people in the country. When Nora hears this, she demands that they turn around and go back, because she thinks there is a sign in the royal house in Oslo. They finally get to the house and meet Reich, Hard Sending, and it looks like they are also waiting. Then he brings them inside and finally tells them the truth about Norway's trolls. It turns out that Tobias was right the whole time. The country's land at the palace used to be walked on by these magical animals. Nora and Andreas are taken deep into the underground tunnels, where Sending tells them that he and the other officers killed Tobias. When Nora's dad got too close to the truth, they sent him to a mental hospital to keep the secret. And that secret is the bones of a family of trolls that were buried deep. After the Christopher killed the Troll King's family and left him alone in the mountain, the royal palace was built on top of his cave. Here, we learn that the troll causing trouble all over the country is actually the king of trolls. This explains why the giant is going to Oslo in the first place. He has been trying to get home. Sending goes on to say that family is the most important thing to trolls and that Norway was becoming Christianized during this time. The Troll King was tricked into going to Dover Mountain, where he was locked up. He was freed by the earlier bombs, and now he's going back to Oslo to try to find his children. It's sad, to be honest. When Nora and Andreas find out the truth, they are shocked. When they see the bones of the troll family, they are even more scared. Nora can tell that the bones are hot when she shines her UV light on them. This is when she learns that the trolls do react to light, so she makes a plan. Next, Nora asks Sending to lend her the biggest car he has, so he gives her the pickup truck that the Queen likes best. She then calls Captain Christopher and tells him what the plan is. She wants to put tan beds all around the Troll King and shine UV lights on him. Christopher calls on some other troops to help him make the troll trap. One of them is the only black character in the whole movie, but he is only there for show. Back at the government building, Andreas asks his friend Sigrid to stop the plan to bomb Oslo with missiles. Sigrid turns out to be a genius at hacking, and she is able to stop the fighter plane from firing rockets at the creature. This means that Oslo and the plan are still in place. Andreas and Nora start moving. First, they take off a big blanket from the back of the truck to show a troll child's head that they found buried. Then, they leave, leading the approaching giant to the UV light trap. After a while, the troll accidentally breaks the head and learns that he no longer has any family. He then looks at Nora and Andreas with the intention of making them. In another part of the military base, a secret is finally found out. While she is messing with the missile system, the general tells her to stop the missile plan if they find out that people are close. Nora and Andreas, on the other hand, found a way to get the troll to come to their spot quickly. Around him, military trucks start shining huge UV lights on him. The plan works, and the troll dies slowly from being burned. But when Nora sees the giant in pain, she changes her mind at the last minute. She decides it would be wrong to kill the thing, so she turns off the lights, which the military guys aren't guarding for some reason, and tries to save his life. She then tells the troll to go to the mountains, where he will be safe. But, sadly, it's already too late. There's a moment of peace, and then all of a sudden, when sunrise comes, the Troll King falls down, just before he turns fully into stone. Nora gently touches him with her hand. Nora thinks that this thing kind of looks like her dad. While everyone else is happy, Andreas and Nora start to wonder if there might be more trolls hiding in the woods of Norway. Then Nora decides that they should call this place Boulder. When the Prime Minister shows up, he tells Nora that she is speechless. She then continues to do just that. She says nothing at all to our hero. In the last scene, the movie cuts to Dover Mountain, where a lot of rocks are moving. Then, out of the rubble, another troll pops up, ready to bring hell to the people of Norway.